Hey everybody, I'm Symes, and with me as ever is Robin.
Hello, hello.
Bit different this week. I haven't had a lot of time to record doing things, so we're going to, in a slightly sort of old school manner, do a more or less live look at some of the prototypes of things I've been working on for getting our moon base together, and also why some of them don't work. So
excellent failures.
Yeah, things that
possibly with explosions.
Kind of don't really work. Some things do work, some things don't. But so this is another thing we're looking at right now. Is a new thing in 0.25 in that there are lots of little markers around the space center, which are where there are craft near the space center. And
also going over the top?
No, they're on the ground.
Okay, so it's not saying here is your lunch or anything like that.
No. On the ground. So we're going to look at some of these, and there's actually a Kerbal there as well. Dude fell. But we're going to look at these, and the first thing we're going to look at is this here winch crane. So if I fly the winch crane, it won't really fly.
It's not going to take off and orbit.
It's not. It has no lift capability whatsoever. It can maybe do it if I get it going fast enough down a hill towards a ramp. It might jump a bit. But other than that, no lift capability at all. So let's wait for this to load up and we'll see the winch crane. There it is. The struts have gone a bit weird. I don't actually know why. There's a bunch of struts that aren't connected to anything.
Is that something you've made then?
Yes.
That's groovy.
This is like just girders, and these are big rover wheels. Cool. And these are oversized landing legs, the reason for which I'll explain shortly. And these are struts which are sticking out into the middle of nowhere rather than being attached to down here where they should be.
And it will drive around?
It does drive around. There's a probe core in it. It's actually just hidden under here. There's a tiny probe core in there. But yes, it drives around.
Target ahead of it as well.
Yeah, there's that is a module from Modular Colonization Services, which is here for the purposes of testing and demonstration. Because your crane, you use kind of. First of all, you take the brakes off, and then it sort of rolls around.
It is indeed rolling.
It's rolling towards the thing.
Rolling, rolling, rolling.
And you kind of. So this has a CAS, Kerbal attachment system, a winch, and grapple.
Oh, there's a Kerbal there.
There's a Kerbal there, very nearly running.
Not getting run over.
There's a winch and grapple here from Kerbal attachment system, which is mounted in such a way as we can lower it and ideally pick something up. So I'll turn the brakes back on and bring up the GUI for the winch, and then you can just, there's a couple of buttons, and release just drops the winch, and eject actually fires it out, which so if something's a fair distance away in space, then you can eject it and it'll probably reach the target, but we just need to release it here because we've got gravity. So you can release it, goes clunk, drops onto the top of this and is now attached. So now we can press this retract button and it'll winch the thing up.
And then we move the Kerbal underneath.
There we are. It's winching it up.
Excellent. That's pretty groovy,
so
really.
That's all right. That's quite a cool thing. It's not centered inside the.
It just means pogoing a bit.
Start leaping around a bit as it bounces off the.
Yeah.
But it's not centered in the on the top, but it's reasonably stable. But the thing with this crane is that it's not very heavy by itself, and when there's nothing loaded on it, the centre of mass is quite low. But this is a quite heavy module, so now the centre of mass is quite high, which is why I mounted these oversized landing legs on it, so that when it's carrying a load, they stick out in case it tries to tip over forward or backward. Which is almost certainly going to happen if I start driving it around.
Ah, and we're off.
So we roll off down here.
So far, so good.
It's very, very low frame rate right now, but not to worry. And
it's not going to win any sprint races.
It's moving 6
drag
meters a second,
races.
but if you apply the brakes, then
you
know,
whoa,
conservation of momentum and all that. But
we find out why we very nearly needed those struts.
Needed those things. And if it was moving faster, it would probably have tipped over entirely. But anyway, so you do that, and
cool.
Let's say you've more or less reached your spot where you want to put this thing. So you can't go, and you can actually. I wasn't sure how this would work. I wasn't sure if it would rotate nicely with the crane or not, but it does seem to be.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so
Nice bit of physics going on there.
So that's good, because if it didn't rotate with the crane, it would make it much harder to position it for directions. So anyway, let's say this is where we want to put this module. So we can just use this extend button, which lowers the payload gently back down again.
Boing.
And
Or
once it hits the ground, we turn extend off, detach the grapple.
always a good idea.
Retract the winch, and it's winched back up.
Fantastic.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that was
I'm sure that'd be useful for moving things from place A to place B.
And that was one of the earliest designs I came up with, right? And I wasn't sure about it because of the way it swings back and forth, and the possibility of it not being able to line things up exactly. And I'm not sure. I'm actually going to drop the winch in it again and only winch it partially up and see, because I wasn't sure if when it winches all the way to the top, then it's locked in place.
All right.
But if it's only part way winched, I don't know if it'll still rotate nicely, but we'll be able to find out, because you can just stop the winching there and turn the brakes off again. And then just turn the... yeah, see there, if it's not winched all the way up, it actually does not rotate with the crane.
Ah.
Which is what I thought would happen, and what I feared would happen even if it was winched all the way up. It's not such a big problem, because we could winch it all the way up. But
we have that.
I could just release it. Just go thump, detach, and retract. So that's quite a good one. That might well be sufficient, but I didn't stop there. Because
no,
why would you?
That wasn't enough.
Why would
that
you?
Wasn't enough victory.
Why wouldn't you try a bunch of other things? So if I just move to the next craft in the list, actually that's not the one that I want. There was supposed to be another winch crane out here. There's a Kerbal. Yeah, this is broken quite badly.
That doesn't look good.
This is actually more broken than it was last time I looked at it. Yeah, so this is this has an Infernal Robotics robotic arm on it.
That's a good name.
And it's supposed to do. You're supposed to be able to retract things like that. But it's gone weird because everything's all gone offset, which obviously is wrong. So you just press all of these. But yeah, so this was just a robotic arm, and the struts have all gone funny as well. So I think there's something wrong with how stuff's
we
been
seem to have
positioned.
discovered anti-gravity or something.
Yeah, how stuff's been positioned. Like the struts are all sticking out at weird angles, and these parts are not connected to each other anymore, which is somewhat distressing.
It's having a bit of a tizzy.
But anyway, this one had a robot arm on it, and it's got the grapple on the end from
the magical floating robot
from
arm.
CAS, the same as is on the winch there. But you can't really use the grapple without the winch, so that didn't work.
Yeah.
So I moved on to another one, not that. Yes, this one, which has gone even more wrong. I don't know what's going on, but this is another robot arm. Even if it wasn't as tremendously busted as this appears to be, yeah, that's just all not working at all.
Yeah, it's a bit wrong.
But
either their physics or your design. But let's blame their physics.
Their physics are broken. But even if they weren't, that's I don't know what's going on there. It's just entirely disconnected from there or something. But even if they weren't, this craft, even if it wasn't now kind of snapped in two, the robot arm's not actually strong enough to lift this module.
Ah, right.
So that didn't work very well. And I tried it on the moon. Actually, and this, I should have explained slightly better what this has. This has got a robot arm on it, and it's got the advanced grabbing unit, or the claw, attached to it.
The claw.
The claw. And I can release the claw like that, and then the EGU falls off. cycle back to the correct vehicle. I don't know what will happen now. Oh, it's actually so the vehicle drives away, or can drive away, but the arm is very broken.
Yes.
I don't know. I really don't know what's going on now. Anyway, so that even if that wasn't, oh god, look, it's all detached from. What's happened? What's happened to all this stuff? It's all just like come apart.
All looking unhappy.
Wow. Okay, so we seem to have discovered some sort of bug there. Anyway, but it wasn't strong enough to lift this thing. Is the point? So it's no good for being able to position the bases if it can't even pick them up. So that was rubbish. And then we just tried I tried a few other things, like this. This is a truck with some drills on it.
That's a good colour.
It's a nice.
It looks like it should be in the Thunderbirds or
nice
something.
safety orange. This is these parts are from Freight Transportation Technologies, which is a pack by Rover Dude, who also
Does
made.
seem to be leaning forward a bit though.
Yes, there's a lot of mass in this bit of it. There's a nuclear reactor in here, so the front's quite heavy, and it's only got one set of wheels on it. But this is using the Honey Badger stuff, and this is just a truck that I made just
Honey Badgers.
when I was playing around with it. But
you got 3 people in there as well.
yeah, the cockpit carries 3 people, but this is the sort of main attraction with the Honey Badger thing, because this is a VTOL cargo ship.
Oh right. Is it going to fly around on the moon then?
That was the plan,
something.
and this
Yep.
it was also going to be like trying to pick up modules. The original plan, if I pivot the shoulders, so move the arm out of the way.
Ah.
See, this has got an arm on
waving.
it, and the arm has a magnet on the end.
You want to have a flag as well. That'd be good.
Just attach a flag to the robot arm.
Yeah,
Yeah, the arm's got
right.
a magnet on the end. And this was before I tried using the claw.
Yeah.
But I didn't get as far as finding out that the arm couldn't pick anything up because the magnet wasn't strong enough to hold onto it. So that didn't work either. So what the original plan was that these cargo bays would have stuff in them, and then
Yep.
you could lift them out with the magnet on the arm,
Dun dun dun.
and it would be all lovely. But there is another problem with VTOLs, not just that one. Let's just close the cargo bays up again. And it's a problem that you have with all rockets, but when you're building tall, pointy rockets, it doesn't necessarily come up as much, especially because you just make them symmetrical. And it's a problem of balance. You need to have your centre of thrust and your centre of mass in line with each other. And it's quite hard to do with VTOLs, especially as fuel gets used up and the mass shifts around.
Makes you wonder how they got the Harrier to work.
Indeed. And this craft here is
Ooh, it's taken off at
taking
least.
off, but it's not really balanced very well, as you might be able to tell, as the engines just run at full thrust. And it starts
Yeah.
to.
There's no delicate control here, is there?
There are. I mean, there are mods that
I'm
can
sensing a problem for those 3 Kerbals.
feather stuff, but yeah, and that's just does this.
Oh no,
starts doing this
it's coming back up again.
insane spiral, and
I think it might be considered a death spiral if they're not careful.
it's not. Yeah, it's not really flyable. Is my point.
The transportation potential of this vehicle, I fear, is minimal.
Yeah.
However, the crashing and blowing up is looking
let's see if it
all
manages
together.
another spiral. I don't think it's gonna. Oh, there's the ground.
Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear.
So,
Yeah.
that blew up to an extent and scattered itself over a wide area.
Oh, that's Kerbals on the ground there. Have they got out?
No, that's bits of rocket.
Oh, right.
Debris. Those Kerbals are dead. So that didn't work very well. So anyway, so we've got this truck. And the truck just goes truck around. And it just drives. And there's so much mass in the front because this is a cargo container. Which has... which is actually empty, but there's got a nuclear reactor at the front as well. And there's all these wheels at the back are not really touching the ground very well, so it doesn't work very well. But it's just a little truck. Truck.
Vroom vroom.
So there was that.
Kerbals in there are feeling a lot safer, I'm sure.
Yes, they've just noticed the huge explosion and gone, well, we don't have any rockets.
Nothing can possibly go wrong.
Oh no, look. It's got a bit confused though, because it says Archibald Kerbal is KIA, and he's supposedly one of the pilots in here, so I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
How odd. Oh well, not to worry.
So you're saying basically we have a zombie driver. Oof! Look at that, back wheels jumped up there.
Yeah, too much mass at the front again.
Yeah. You need a counterweight at the back or something.
Yeah. So we have the winch over there, which was one of the first things I put together and which works the best out of the 3 cranes that I actually made. This crane here, even though this has all gone weird and I don't know what's going on there. But there was one other thing that I did. There's a couple of other things that I did. So if we go to here and
Symes Corp.
Yep. So this was another idea that I had of how to get modules into place once they've been landed. It's actually a fairly straightforward idea. There it is, and it's a module with wheels on. You know, sometimes the simplest ideas really are the best. There is a problem with wheels. With a thing with a fairly short wheelbase and quite a high centre of mass, and it's this. So you have
the wheels are going pretty maniacal.
They've got nothing to push against. They're just going,
They got one speed, insane.
Yeah. So if we just go back to launch there.
Yep.
Try that again.
Let's try it at somewhat less turbocharged speed. Maybe.
Just, yeah.
I mean, is it just a binary on-off for most motors?
They do. I mean, they do have a speed, but I mean, there's accelerating or not accelerating. But so if we wait for the physics to load, which they just have, and I deploy the landing legs on this module, then that gives us a little bit of additional protection from falling over. Because now, if you punch it like that, it just bounces onto the legs at the back.
Oh dear,
again,
it's some sort of bizarre metal
brakes on, it's fine.
You might need extra legs.
So now you can just... But again, it's not very easy to drive because it does wheelie the whole time. But you can, if you are patient. If you're patient, you can turn it round and drive it off the ramp. The other thing, of course, is that if you've got the wheel in the air, then it's not steering quite so well as it might do. Whoop. So it's kind of going straight there because the driving wheel that's pulling it around is in the air. But yeah, you kind of take it easy and it'll eventually go around the corner. And now we can drive it down this ramp. Sort of. Like that. And at this point it can just roll nicely down this hill by itself.
Yeah.
There are some sort of minor issues that you can run into. Like if you do go too fast, it will take off. It's heavy, but if you go too fast, even over a small bump, it'll take off. And these tyres are kind of at their load maximum, just carrying this thing around. So if you do a little jump and land, they'll burst. But anyway,
so you're saying basically it's a death trap waiting to happen?
Oh no, it's not a death trap. It's just very prone to not having any tyres on it, and that makes it a bit difficult to steer. So anyway, put the brakes on like that. And it flops back and forth, but so we lock the brakes, and then what you do is you EVA somebody who's inside, and this is a simulated situation on the moon. He would not actually fall quite as badly as this. So but he gets up and Oh, he's underneath. That's not supposed to happen. Oh, he's fine. And
He's probably a bit worried.
Yeah, the wheels here are not attached directly to the base. They're attached to these cubic octagonal struts. And Kerbal attachment system lets you attach and detach things, and cubic octagonal struts are one of the things you can detach. So if I go there and you just go grab like that, he'll pull that off the side of the module. The wheel falls off, right?
Yep.
And then you can just like dump the strut there. And so basically,
Nice bit of handy littering.
Yeah, you just the module base is actually a cast container, so you could store it away if you wanted to. But the point about this is that once you've got your module into place and you've driven it there, how you want, it's not that thing.
He can go and change the tyre.
You can just remove the wheels like that.
You know,
as
you do.
You just pull the wheels off your module.
As you do.
Yeah. Grab that one and drop it there.
He's really glad those legs are there.
Yes, I mean, if the legs weren't there, this would be a really stupid idea. But
he'd be a bit squashed.
They're already deployed, and so once you get the module into a place where you want to build it into part of the base, you don't need the wheels on it anymore.
Yeah.
So you can remove them like this, and now that's like just a thing that's in place. And if we were on the moon, he'd be able to get back in, but he can't because the gravity is too high and there's no ladder. So he's now outside forever. But yeah, so.
Oh, he can just go down the pub.
Yeah, you just go hang out.
Being as he isn't on the moon,
he doesn't really need his EVA suit either, technically. But yeah, so and this thing has an anchor, so you can drop the anchor and engage the dampener, and that'll hold it nicely in place. So it shouldn't jump about. So yes, that's the thing. The other sort of way of getting modules in place, other than the crane, is to have wheels on them and have them drive around independently until they're in the place you want them to be. And these have floodlights, which you can't see because it's daytime.
Yeah.
So that was the transportation stuff.
That was indeed that.
That I was testing on
said, sir.
Yes. Well, you know, I tell it like it is, man. Yes, that was the transportation stuff I was testing on Kerbal, and I did some testing on the moon as well.
The moon.
Which is over here, and there's a claw crane here, so we can fly the claw crane. So, actually, that one.
We're on the moon.
That's fine. We're on the moon. So here's the claw crane.
Is this a simulation then, or how do we get this up here?
It's in the sandbox mode. I cheated.
Ah, okay.
There is a thing called hyper.
It's quite handy though.
There's a thing called hyper edit, which lets you just basically move things to an entirely different orbit, and then it's got an automatic landing tool as well. So you just put it in orbit around the body you want it on the surface on, and then you press the land button, and it slowly lowers it to the ground for you.
Groovy.
So that's handy. So anyway, this is how the claw crane behaves on moon gravity. So you can actually see the claw crane in action rather than the extremely broken one that was on Kerbal. So you bring brakes. Stop! You can stop now. It's really not stopping.
It doesn't want to stop. It never wants to stop.
Well, see, that's what can happen. But luckily, it's got its extendo legs.
Extendo legs.
Spring out and fling it back onto its wheels again, kind of. So, yeah. Victory or something. Right, so we'll drive it back over here. And the reason for these being landing struts rather than just having long girders there is that I want to be able to get up quite close, potentially to a landing craft.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to bring the crane in close, and at the same time be able to have the crane be stable-ish.
Ish.
It's not actually
I
enormously
like
stable,
that. Ish.
but it's more stable than it would have been if it hadn't had those on. Anyway, so you get your crane in place and you put the brakes on this time. And so this is the AGU. So if we arm the claw, there it is. There is the claw. This is actually a scaled down claw. There's a plugin called Tweak Scale, which lets you scale things up and down. This is actually a half-size claw from what the original is. But yeah, so you do the same sort of thing here, and you sort of pivot your elbow around like that.
Yeah.
And maybe pivot the wrist a little bit to bring the claw in line. And no, didn't want to rotate that. So line your claw up. Claw.
Adjust the claw.
Just the claw.
Claw.
Claw. Right, and then
claw. Oh, okay. No, I'll try not to impersonate the aliens.
Extend the arm. Like
Extend
that.
the extendotron.
Right, and because it's just zoomed out like that, that means it's the claw's engaged because it effectively docks with the other thing. So now this is a single ship, right? But if I hold this button down and I try and
not that button.
If I just try and retract the thing, it just doesn't do it. Nothing happens because the arm is too feeble. And it's making and it's making a hell of an effort to actually lift it, but it can't, right? So, and what happened the first time I tested this is that I sort of pressed these buttons for a while, and then I released the claw like this, right? And everything's just sat there. That's a shame, because it was much more exciting when I did this before. Because, somewhere around is kind of what's left of what happened before. Over that way somewhere, is the wreckage of another claw crane.
Oh.
Because I managed to somehow build up a great deal of potential energy in the arm when I was fiddling about with it and it wasn't moving, so as soon as I released the claw, the crane went spinning off into the distance.
Oops.
So, unfortunately, I don't seem to have been able to repeat that, because that would have been quite funny.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Go into low orbit or whatever.
Oh.
Oh dear.
Yes, this is kind of the thing I was referring to. Just speeding up and spinning round and round and round. Why? Why is it doing this? So yes, for some reason it collects a great deal of energy.
A perpetual motion machine
in the arm, and as soon as you move the arm at all, it releases that energy, and you do many, many, many somersaults. It's quite impressive, actually. It's starting to tumble a bit.
Yeah.
But the other one didn't last this long before it exploded. Possibly because the stabilizers are out and they're just bouncing off those.
Yeah.
Whee!
Oops.
This is brilliant. This is a new means of transportation for Kerbal. This is just like across the moon's surface they go. I wonder how long this is going to keep going for.
Probably quite a while.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem to be getting damaged.
No, it's actually gone over a hill now. It's in the sky. So, is it falling? Hard to tell, but yeah, it is. I think. Yeah, going down, boink, and it's bouncing off the surface again. Okay, and it just pogoed back into the air. Not the air, the sky. I don't really need this control panel anymore. And oh, it's got a definite spin on now.
Yeah, it's it's actually left the ground now. It's no longer bouncing.
Yeah, this is the third time actually it's gone quite high up and is coming down a slope now.
Who would have known that it would have been so rubbery?
I mean, this is frankly amazing. The last one exploded after like 15 seconds. Oh,
it's gone a bit crazy there.
It's getting a bit exciting.
Yeah, you're losing some frames there as it tries to work out what on earth's going on.
What's going on? And yeah.
Oh, there we go. That's something exploded there.
That's the docking port gone off the top.
But the rest of it is somehow undamaged.
Yeah, it looks a bit bent, but it's the explosion slowed the spin a bit and flung it 70 meters into the air. Oh, yeah, it's definitely slowing its spiral now. Oop.
Is he going to go boom?
It's doing a lovely pirouette. Oh, yeah.
Hey!
It's a landing leg gone.
That's a massive explosion for a small piece of metal.
Yeah, it was just a landing leg. Maybe it's got hydraulics, but seriously.
Yeah.
huge
it's
boom.
like, I was expecting, a small piece of charcoal left after that explosion.
I think we lost the probe core as well. Oh! That's another 2 landing legs gone. Now we're just on the slide.
I think the explosion physics need a bit of work.
Things are very explodey in the Kerbal universe, apparently. It's like here's a girder, boom. Now it's going to slide to a gentle halt now, I think. Wow. And on that bombshell.
And on that spinning, exploding thing.
I don't know if this will still work because the probe core's gone, so I have no control over this vehicle anymore.
No.
It does actually have lights on it.
Kick in the wheels and.
No, it does have lights on it. I forgot to demonstrate them before. It does have spotlights on the top, so you can see what it's doing in the dark. But it's all broken now.
It's dead, Dave.
So it's impossible to see. And as it grinds slowly to a halt, although it's on a slope again now, so who knows.
And like a giant Godzilla-like panda, it is slewing to a stop. Or something.
It is sliding gently downhill. But anyway, so that's what happened to that.
Bad things.
Bad thing.
Bad things happened to that.
Went a bit crazy and exploded a lot.
I think what we need to make is basically something shaped like a hamster ball.
That's an interesting suggestion.
Yeah, just basically construct something with wheels everywhere.
Well, as long as you had like structural paneling that would take a beating, then all you need is a big reaction wheel in the middle to get it to spin.
Yeah.
So
that could be hilarious.
So that's a point to ponder. But anyway, that'll do for now.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this occasional first of the occasional visits to the Museum of Failure.
Please retain your ticket.
as I'm going to call it now. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time, hopefully for some regular moon base building.
Hurrah.
Thanks very much.
Bye. Bye.